Hello, you are listening to the Mets in the UK podcast, your home for Mets content here in the UK. You can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and all good podcast hosts every Tuesday. You can also find us on all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and X at Mets in the UK, or you can find us using the hashtag MITUK to get involved. Full house this week. Everyone's here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Evening, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you very much. Looking forward to another week of Mets baseball.
Yeah, the last week of Mets baseball for a while, with the All-Star break coming up just round the corner. Evening, Tracey. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, my dear. How are you?
I am good. And last but certainly not least, Tor, how are you doing?
Oh, good, thank you.
Fantastic. So let's recap for last week in the world of our Mets. I was completely wrong. Happy to be completely wrong from last week's predictions. It wouldn't be an episode of Mets in the UK podcast without me making a horrific prediction. Mets 4-2 over the last week, taking the Brewers series 2-1. Lindor and Nimmo getting home runs. Mets then took the series against the Yankees 2-1. Soto, McNeil, Beatty, Alonso, and Nimmo all getting home runs in that series. Brandon Nimmo, what a week it's been for him. 2 grand slams in 1 week. Well done, Brandon. Clearly, meeting me in May was an inspiration for him.
100%.
Yeah, with that goes without saying. All 3 games this weekend, UK friendly as well, which was really nice to actually watch some Mets baseball at a reasonable hour. Joe, did you catch any of the games?
I did catch a few of the games. It's quite nice to have not only have UK friendly baseball, but it was nice to have like good Mets friendly baseball for a change, because we don't often get much luck. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that, but we tend to get some stinkers when it's on our time. But yeah, caught all that. One of the games I was getting slightly tipsy at watching England women play cricket, but at the same time, you guys would keep me updated, so it was great fun.
Fantastic. And how was the cricket?
It was very good, thank you. I saw some of the fastest bowling by a female, I think he said pitcher, bowler that the women's game has seen. So it was fantastic.
Amazing. Get yourself to a cricket game if you've not done so already. It's well worth checking out in person, not just for the alcohol either. It's always a good time.
Not like our Joe to get a bit tipsy, eh?
A sporting event, no.
How rude. I'm always very well self-controlled.
Okay.
Moving swiftly on. Tracey, did you catch any of the games last week?
Yes, I did. And it not only was it UK friendly, but it was all SMY, which was beautiful. We'd love that. And yeah, a couple of grumbles, but I'm sure we'll cover those later.
A couple.
Ooh,
Yeah.
a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. Watch this space. Come back to that. Night Owl, how many of the 6 games did you watch over the last week?
6.
There we go.
Well, mostly. I mean, in fairness, the Friday game, I was fighting with signal, so I didn't see all of it. But because I was at a gig and I was like, go on. Lost my brother at the time as well. So not only did I have no signal to watch the Mets, I had no signal to try and find my brother.
What's worse out of those 2 things?
Well, I always know I'm going to find my brother. So,
we know which one of the 2 she's prioritized.
I know.
It's not finding her brother, is it?
But yeah, I got it on in time for the end. So we're all good. But yeah, obviously I watched them intentionally or otherwise.
Any takes on the last week?
Oh, hot takes. I've got a hot take.
Go on.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm really enjoying? Butch Brandon Nimmo these days. He's just got so butch and beardy and manly and grand slammy, hasn't he? Love it.
Yeah, long may it continue. Yeah. Tracey, takes on the week?
Can somebody retrain the umpires, please?
Oh, here she goes.
She's not a happy bunny. Well, when you look at some of the crews, yeah, we all know who I mean. There have been some really, really questionable calls, including the one on Sunday where Mendy got chucked from the game after having his little moment, kicking dirt over the home plate and really making a meal out of it. And bring on the robo-ump.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that take. It's coming because it's in the minor leagues, and often that's where we see these new rules tested out. But it's not fun to watch when you see. I mean, I can understand if it's on the corner and it's close and they give it and you kind of go, oh, that's probably a ball, but I can see why they've given it. But some of those calls on Sunday, they were not even close. Like, they were solid, well outside the zone balls and just still being given as strikes. It was not a good advocate for officiating in MLB. Obviously, I'm going to mention it just for the sake of, it's not a Mets bias thing. It's just the standard is poor. I think it's something that MLB needs to address. It's a league-wide issue. It's not, and there's other sports as well where officiating is an issue. Off the top of my head, I know NBA has its issues with the officials in that as well. But yeah, something's going to have to change, because I can understand why Mendy was frustrated. I can understand why he kicked off the way he did. I don't think that it necessarily changed the game, in that if some of those were called balls instead of strikes, I don't think it would have changed the result. I think it was always headed to a Yankees victory, unfortunately. But it's going to cost a game at some point, whether that's a Mets game or another baseball game. This poor officiating is going to cost a game, and that's not cool. So yeah, bring on the robo-umps as far as I'm concerned. It looks to have been mostly successful in the minor leagues from what I've seen of it. So it remains to be seen when or if that will be brought up to the major leagues. Tracey, did you have two takes, or was it just the one?
It was sort of just that one, but can I just say, I also love how passionate Mendy is. There have been previous managers that would just be like, oh, okay, and just like not really go into it. He's been ejected twice in the last 10 days, I think now, but I think it was in the right time. Sometimes it can stick a firework up the boys as well, which can be needed sometimes. Yeah, and I just love how passionate he is about the game, and I enjoyed his performance on Sunday.
Yeah, it was good. He didn't go full Terry Collins, but it was impressive compared to some of our previous managers, for sure.
Can I jump in real quick? I've got one other thing. Just another little quiet week for Jeff, but another really good week for Jeff. So we should throw some squirrel love out there. There's such a thing.
Yes, and of course we can't mention Squirrel without shouting out CJ, regular listener.
Yeah.
Hello CJ, hope you're doing well over in Belgium. Tor, what are your takes from the last week?
Yeah, I mean, Joe, you just mentioned Jeff McSquirrel Neal. I mean, Yankees game one, particularly for him, he had a homer, he had that defensive play, was it 7th or 8th inning, that really made a difference. I think game one against the Brewers was disappointing. It was a bit of a damp squid, and we were all a bit kind of deflated after that, because we were expecting them to kind of come out and give us something. But then to get at Mizorowski in game two, with all of the hype that was around him as well, getting off to a great start with Brandon's Grand Slam, that was epic. And then obviously the Yankees series, obviously, we've just talked about the Sunday game, which we didn't quite seem at it. We tried, though. I mean, the thing that I liked about that mostly was the hustle in that game. Like, we still tried. We knew that we weren't going to get much joy out of Max Fried, so it was all about getting his count up and getting him out as soon as possible. And as soon as we did, we tried. We just ran out of innings. I think if we'd have had another inning or two, we might have had them. So that was still, even though it was a loss, there was still some great things to be taken from it. Soto throughout was just continuing to be brilliant. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about him. And one thing I have to say that I've been loving, not just this last week, but recently, Ryan Stanek. I mean, I have, like, I said this to Tracey, he looks like a frustrated rock star, like the energy that he has, the reactions that he has. And I mean, his numbers have been incredible. And he's just coming in, getting it done, absolutely
playing with his hair, like swishing it back.
Exactly. Just absolutely pumped. So like he comes in all chill. And then when he gets his file out, he's like absolutely pumped. Like, who cannot run through walls after seeing that? Like, you're just like, come on. Like, you kind of just want to like just be there with him. So he has been amongst my highlights this week, because I like I said, not even just this week, but and then I guess the only kind of the other downside is I mentioned game 1 against the Brewers was just a little bit, it's not what we expect. I always say how much I love the guy's approach and attitude. We just kind of didn't really see that get going at all. And we mentioned the umps. I mean, I say it every week. It seems like we talk about them every week, because we do, because they are terrible every week. We know it's not an easy job. We know a couple of guys here that do it. It's a hard job, but when you are in the major leagues, you have to be better. You just have to be better. So that's really frustrating. And I feel a little bit sorry for Busso going out on illness, but I'm sure, again, we'll get onto that in the news. But overall, how can you not be satisfied with the last week? I mean, it's impossible to not be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
days.
it's a good way to end the recap of last week. How can you not be happy? 4-2, back in winning ways. More of that, please, and thank you. So, as is always the case, it's been a busy week for the Mets off the field. Lots of comings and goings. The Mets over the weekend used their 35th different pitcher this year, which
Crazy.
is just insane. Like, that's an insane number of pitchers to have used at this stage of the season already. Over the last week, we saw Austin Warren added as the 27th man for that doubleheader against the Brewers after it got rained off. Surprise, surprise, Blackburn's injured again. Didn't see that one coming. This time it's a shoulder injury for him. Obviously, we wish him speedy recovery, but I think similar to Senga, the guy is made of glass. Daniel Nunez has suffered a setback. He's injured his elbow. Which obviously I'm a fan of Nunez, so I'm quite disappointed with that one. Blade Tidwell was optioned down to AAA. Austin Warren then went back to AAA after the doubleheader. Justin Hageman was recalled. Rico Garcia was selected. As Tor mentioned, Jose Butto is on the IL. Chris Davinsky was called up to replace Butto. Mets then signed Zach Pop, who was a right-hand pitcher. Warren was then optioned and Tyler Zuber was DFA'd. Amongst all of that, we've had some more movement come just before the podcast, which is always appreciated rather than just after we press stop. The Mets have called up right-hander Alex Carrillo per sources. Another cool scouting story with Carrillo from Independent Ball. He played for a team called the Washington Wild Things, which is a great name. Last summer, he was signed out of Venezuela. He was throwing over 100 miles an hour at Syracuse and hadn't allowed a hit in his time there. People in the know in the minors say that this guy is a bit of a flamethrower and looks to be the real deal. He's a reliever, so obviously we'll see how that goes. He'll play one game and go straight back down again, like all the others, I should imagine. Alongside those moves, we saw Jesse Winker's back. He's been recalled. Stano Mate is on the 10-day IL because he's bruised himself.
I didn't think he did it himself. Didn't he get hit by a ball? Hit by a pitch?
It did look a bit uncomfortable, bless him.
It did, yes.
Contusion sounds better than bruise.
Yeah, it sounds more manly.
Tyler McGill is on the 60-day IL now. Zach Pop, who I mentioned previously, has now been DFA'd, and Junior Fernandez has been signed to a minor league deal. Speaking of the minor leagues, Jonah Tong, what a time he's having down in the minors. His season ERA is 1.83 in the minors. Obviously, you mentioned last week's show, he's part of the Futures game next week with all the All-Star happenings. So thoroughly deserved to him. Also going to shout out Jacob Reamer, a third baseman / first baseman, has played a little bit in the outfield as well. He is hitting 314 batting average, +1 OPS. He's hit 3 home runs in 11 games since he got promoted to AA. One to keep an eye on for the future, especially if he can keep up that hot bat. Speaking of minors as well, Sean Manaea has his final rehab assignment tonight. He is due to link up in Kansas with the team, assuming that the rehab assignment goes well. The plan is Clay Holmes is due to start tonight. Clay Holmes is then going to pitch again in Kansas, but Manaea will come in and follow him, and both of them will pitch a shortened game in the Kansas series, from what's been reported earlier today. Kodai Senga has also packed his bags. He's traveling with the team to Baltimore. Could start Friday, which is good to see. As I mentioned, next week is All-Star stuff. Pete Alonso has declined to appear at this year's Home Run Derby. He's given a pretty solid reason that I won't read. I'll tag it in the show notes at the bottom. It's pretty understandable why he's turned it down, but he will not be appearing. Alonso and Diaz have been selected alongside Lindor as All-Stars. The surprise of the All-Star list is there's no Juan Soto. Juan Soto was named National League Player of the Month for June. Excuse me. Only 7 players in MLB history have recorded at least 20 home runs, 70 walks, 15 doubles, and 10 stolen bases prior to the All-Star break in a season. But out of those 7, Juan Soto would be the only one to then not go and make the All-Star game. I don't want to say there's an anti-Mets bias, but there's clearly an anti-Mets bias going on here from other fans. I think especially the Yankee fans have not voted for him because they're very bitter. And on stats alone, he should be there, but it's just not happened for him. So, all being said, lots has happened over the last week. Lots of comings and goings, lots of things happening. Joe, any takes on the news from the last week?
I think with how long it's just taken you to go through all of those pitching things, I think it's still remarkable how consistent we've been in the circumstances, considering how many we've gone through. Obviously, we've had our blip. We're done with that now. That's gone. But I think it just shows how good the team is because we've just kind of ploughed on with what we've got, and it's not really happened like that before, has it? So I'm taking that as a positive. Yeah,
it's another positive for the pitching lab and all the fabulous work that goes on behind the scenes with all of these players. 35 pitches over the course of a season, and we're not even at the All-Star break yet, is incredible. And like you say, the fact that we've managed to, there's been moments. It's not.
Yeah, but there's always going to be moments.
But on the whole, things have been positive despite the constant comings and goings and all of the injuries that we've had to our pitchers. Very well done to those people involved in that.
And and the only other thing I was going to mention actually, obviously I think the Yankees games came around a good time because I think we needed that series just to G us back up because we love beating the Yankees. And I think the second it'll rocket up however Tracey put that phrase earlier, rocket somewhere, it's going to be Jesse coming back. So hopefully his energy will spread throughout the team as well and keep us going. And as we take on this road trip, so it's good to see him back. It feels like it's been ages since we've seen his antics. On and off.
Does. Yeah, and I also think to tag on to the back of that, I think if and when Sean Manaea comes back as well, it will be great to see his smiley, happy face in the dugout or on the mound. Very much looking forward to having him back as well. Tracey, anything from the last week?
I enjoyed seeing Rico Garcia pitch. He pitched 2 really good innings with a couple of strikeouts. He was a nice surprise from the ones that we've juggled recently. Completely understand why Alonso's not going to do the home run derby. I think it's the best choice for him at the moment. And with regards to Soto, I think the issue with Soto is that he's only sort of probably in the last 6 to 8 weeks is only when he's really started to ramp things up. He's settled as being a Met, and maybe that was why he was overlooked a bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair and reasonable. I have seen there's been a few people sharing on Mets Twitter, some of the Yankee fans as well, sort of saying how they've actively voted against him. I think
Yes,
that's
but
going to
we
play
all
as
know
well.
that they're bitter peeps.
Yes, I mean they are, but it's just, you know, you can overlook that for what the player is and, you know, what their talent is. It doesn't matter if you dislike the team or dislike what the player did because they left you and went to the better team across the city. But, you know, you can just grow up, Yankee fans, grow up.
We'll probably see him, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll get in there somehow. It's like the first reserve.
Yeah, he's definitely on the reserve list, 100%.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed he then can make an appearance.
Yeah.
Tor, any takes from last week?
Yeah, I'm going to carry on with the Soto theme at the moment. I can I get the whole fan vote aspect of it and him not getting in at that point. The bigger surprise is that he didn't make it through the player and coach ballot. Like that's the bit that I can't see, because I would expect them to be more intelligent than to see past that perceived slow start, right? Those ballots went in maybe like 10 days or so ago. So yes, obviously it was, you know, he'd had most of his excellent June at that point. So how they still overlooked him, you've got to think as well, there's the whole, every team has to be represented and, you know, all of that stuff. So the fact that we had 3 guys in there already kind of almost might have gone against him. A couple of the other teams that didn't have reps probably got someone in ahead of him because of that. So I don't think it's entirely down to voting as such. I think some of it is down to the ballots and the way that it's structured to make sure that every team is represented. So I think I think he's missed out there. I think he probably would have been there if he was still in the Yankees, honestly, because he would have made it through the fan vote. There's no doubt that he should be there. It's ridiculous that he's not. And like I said, I'm surprised in those that voted on the ballot that they didn't put him in. But okay, fine. Like you guys have said, I think he'll get there one way or another. Jesse. Well, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. It was recently, and I was just like, we need Jesse back. We're missing, like, we need his energy. So I tweeted it, if I get Jesse and Ty back in the same lineup, I'm just going to be, I know.
You can be so excited.
I know. I might cry. So I am ridiculously excited about that. As for the rehab side of things, like, it's going to be great to have Manaea back. It looks like they've got a solid plan for him. I had a question mark over Senga. I thought they might, because we know how Senga manages his own recovery, I thought he might hang on until after All-Star. I still wouldn't be surprised about that. If you were to look at the upcoming schedule, there are a couple of gaps in the named pitchers, and I think it's probably going to come down to how he is feeling at the time as to whether he plays or whether it's a bullpen or another quick one-day call-up. But regardless, he is traveling, he's there, he's technically available. So that's really exciting. Minors, again, that's been another theme this season. We've said every week how well our minors are doing. It's and we should be making the most of it, because it's been a long time coming. It's been, it's lovely to be able to talk about them and to see them doing so well. So all in all, with the merry-go-round of roster moves, if we put that to one side, everything else is pretty darn positive on the news front. But Jesse,
on that giddy note,
excited.
Someone's very excited. It's that time of the show. Just going to remind you all, if you've been listening and you've been enjoying the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, so we can bring this content to more people across the UK, Europe, and beyond. It's the time of the show where we talk socials. Before I get to the questions, there was a report. I've not put it in the news because this is not factually confirmed. It's something that was reported by someone called Noah Hiles, who's the Pirates beat writer. It's not official, so it's still like rumors at this point. The Mets and Pirates have had a conversation around a trade for Mitch Keller, who's a starting pitcher for the Pirates. The hot rumor is the Mets player in the trade package is Ronnie Mauricio. Not expecting a ton back for Keller. I'm gonna shout out Rob in the replies on this, who shared some of the details of his contract. He's got 3 years left, Keller, on his deal. It's almost 60 million worth of AAV bonuses and things like that, which doesn't seem like a very David Stearns kind of deal, as Rob said. Rob also said he wouldn't want to give up any of the baby Mets, which was also echoed by J-Dub, who said, no, Mauricio is a keeper. Ruskell very humorously added, do the Pirates have any other pitchers? Obviously hinting at Skeens. What do we think about this one, ladies? I'm throwing this one out there. What's your take on this? Would you trade Mauricio for Keller, bearing in mind the need for pitching that the Mets have? I'm seeing shakes of heads, but for the people listening and not watching, Joe, what's your thought?
My thought, which I wrote down earlier, I've just written the word trade and then not Mauricio. Keeping it simple. I just think he's got so much power and he's so athletic. I just think he'd be too much to give up, because someone like Vientos, he had that hot streak. He's not got the speed and the strength that Mauricio's got, and I'd be gutted. The excitement Toria has for Jesse coming back, I would have the opposite reaction to Mauricio being traded. I'd cry.
Okay, fair enough. Tracey?
I don't think it's a good trade for the Mets. Although we need pitching, we are getting pitching back off the IL very, very shortly. And we've proven that we can backfill everything else from the minors. So I say no to the trade.
Okay. Tor?
Yeah, not Mauricio. And Joe kind of touched on it as well. I think the only baby I can see going anywhere would be Vientos. And I say that mostly because he's out of options. So he's not. I think he would be the one that we would miss least. I like the boy, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying that I want us to trade him, because I don't. I'm just saying out of that kind of pool, because it's like musical chairs, right? We actually do not have enough seats. And Vientos is the one who is almost without a chair, because he's got one and that's it. He ain't got any other options. So, and he's still very talented. So I think if there's trade talk anywhere, I think he's the one who may be a little bit vulnerable. I would not like to see Mauricio go.
Okay. I'm going to be devil's advocate on this one. I would do the deal because he's 29. He's got 3 years left on that deal. So you're keeping him until he's at least sort of 32. He's got a 3.64 ERA. And although he's got a 3-10 win-loss record for the Pirates this year, a lot of that's down to their lack of run production, letting him down rather than what he's doing on the mound. When you actually work out the AAV, it's just over 15 mil by the time you take off all the bonuses and the total contract stuff. So it's not a massive hit. For me, I look at Keller, he's a fourth or fifth day kind of starter. He's not an ace. He's not someone you build your starting pitching around. But for me, he's a much more solid and dependable arm that we've kind of lacked. Now, the best thing I can liken it to is we've missed Jose Quintana this year, in that Jose Quintana would go deep into games. He was solid and dependable. Didn't set the world alight, but he was solid and dependable. And I think we've missed that. And if you look at what we have got with McGill now on the 60-day IL, question marks around Senga and Manaea when they come back, whether certainly around Senga and whether he can carry that on. Montas, he's not been great. I did say it would take him a while to get going, so I'm not throwing him under the bus just yet. But then you are left with Clay Holmes and David Peterson, and then you kind of go into those reliever games at that point. Griffin Canning's out, Paul Blackburn's out. I feel like the deal's worth doing because there's no guarantee with Mauricio. I like Mauricio. I think he's got a lot of promise. He's got good power. He brings something, but there's no guarantee that he's going to turn into an elite player or a very good player. And I think the Mets, can afford to let him go for a short-term need. That would be my take on it. But hey, feel free to laugh at me in the comments. Feel free to disagree with what I've just said.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree that Keller's a good pitcher. I'd take Keller. I'm not saying that we shouldn't take Keller. I'm just saying it shouldn't be for Mauricio. I think that's what Girl's saying as well. Right?
Yeah,
Keller's decent, and he fills a need. It's not about Keller. It's about what we're giving up for him.
Yeah.
If it was Mauricio for Keller and then like another relief pitcher or another player as part of the deal, would that then tip the scales in the favor?
Depends who the other player is, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of hypotheticals, but
yeah, but it's not the aversion to the deal isn't the Keller side of it. It's the other side. Keller would be great. Oh, not great, but like you said, he'd be solid. Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
You have convinced us.
Half convinced. That's fine. I'll take that. Yeah. That's fine. I've done my pitching bit. It's all good. Right. Next, we've got a question from Jeff, who regularly chimes in with comments and questions. So shout out to Jeff, regular listener. If you were on the Mets, what position would you play and why? We'll start with Toria on this one.
Mm-hmm. I can't choose between two, and they're both my favorite positions. So it would be first base or shortstop.
Why?
And why is because in pretty much like all sports, I prefer defense over offense as a rule. So I would have to play a more defensive role. And my favorite players have been. I like first base because I think you're always on, like just always. You can't switch off at all for a second at first base, and I think I like that. So yeah, probably first.
Okay, Tracey.
Well, with my knees, I couldn't be a catcher. So I would say probably first base or left field.
Okay. Why left field?
Not as much moving around needed.
You can enjoy the game from out in the outfield.
As long as you can throw, babe.
Oh, I can throw.
You're going to be able to throw. That's why I can go in the outfield. I'm rubbish at throwing.
Okay. Joe, how about you?
Well, I have a tendency to get a bit angry, so I'd probably channel my inner angry squirrel. And I've played a bit of second base, so I'm gonna stick to second base. Bit of an action-packed position with
Yeah, I've seen you at second base.
ability to get a bit ratty when needed. So yeah, that's what I go for.
She really does.
Okay. You can all see Joe throwing down the helmet in anger when
Yeah.
hits
You know, like
them.
the scene in A League of Their Own where like they go through home plate and smash the catcher. That'd be me.
Nice.
That is a great film as well. That is a great film.
It is.
This is going to shock absolutely no one. I'd be a reliever. If I was going to do it, I'd want to be sort of 7th, 8th setup kind of reliever. I
Bit of
wouldn't
an
want to
Addison
be a
Reed.
closer.
What about that? Bit of an Addison Reed role?
Oh, Reed Garrett, maybe. You know,
Oh,
with
Reed.
the
Yeah,
drone.
yeah, Reed. I'm just thinking before Familiar or someone. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be it for me. I don't think I'd want the closer role. There's too much pressure with that, and I don't think my arm in my age has the stamina to do 6 or 7 innings from a starting role. So I will take 1 inning of relief pitch, play regularly, and I will be happy with it. But thanks for the question, Jeff. Always a good one. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. If you were on the Mets, what position would you play and why? So upcoming, we've got 6 games, and then this is it for a while because the All-Star break. We've got 3 on the road against the Orioles. Thursday is UK friendly. We then go to Kansas to play the Royals. 3 games on the road there. Saturday and Sunday games against the Royals are UK friendly. Before I get your predictions, ladies, I'm also going to shout out Orioles in the UK, or the Orioles UK account. I was on their podcast yesterday talking about the upcoming series. If you find me on X, you can find a link to that show. Great guys over there, Orioles in the UK. Check out the show if you want to get a bit more of an insider look as to all things O's. So last week I was horrendous and I said 2 and 4. So I don't want to play this week. I'm throwing my toys out the pram on this one. I'm staying well clear of this. You lot did much better. Joe, what's your prediction for the next 6 games?
I think I did all right the last couple of weeks, with predictions. So I'm going to keep that theme going. I'm going to go 4 and 2, a couple of cheeky series wins just to keep us rolling into the All-Star break.
Okay. Trace?
I'm going to copy Joe. And can I just say, before we leave, tonight's lineup has been announced.
Okay. Breaking news. Go on, Trace.
We've got Nimmo in left, Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Winker DHing, McNeil in centre, Terence catching, Mauricio, Beatty, and Holmes. Sorry, Tor.
Out of Mauricio and Beatty, who's the second? Who's the third?
Mauricio is third, Beatty is second.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Someone's not convinced.
Sorry.
It should be
Don't
Jeff
shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
Jeff at second, Ty in centre.
Do you want to change your prediction, Tracy, or are you happy with that?
No, keeping it as it is.
Okay. Very good. Little Miss Sunshine, Tor?
I don't want to play anymore.
Oh,
But yay, Jessie. I'm Jessie's back.
I'm sure it'll happen. It will happen.
It will happen. And it's not just that Ty's not there. It's that Jeff's been doing all right out in centre, bless him. And I know that he likes to play there. For me, it's Jeff at second or nowhere. Like second base.
I agree with that.
That's where he should be. Anywho, so I mean, the O's are on a bit of a roll because they've just swept the Braves, but it's just the Braves. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. The thing with the O series is really we need to get at them in these first 2 games when we've got Holmes and Peterson on the mound, because they have got Charlie Morton, one of my guilty pleasures, on game 3. So I think that could be the challenging one. So I'm going to go 2 on there. Hope that we get the first 2 of the series there. Maybe get it Morton early. And then Kansas are streaky and inconsistent. They've had a few wins, but they don't really have like a home advantage. So I'm not concerned about playing them at their place. Like they're no better at home than they are away. Of course, we've talked about maybe getting Mania back as well on Sunday alongside Holmes, possibly even Senga. I think that they've won they've won a couple. So either they're due a losing streak and we'll catch them on that, or they will be on a winning streak for so long that they'll be due a losing streak. So I think we're going to sweep them.
Whoa.
I'm going 5-1.
Oh,
Wow. That came out of the bag. Nate.
It's reason.
I had 3 and 3 written down. I had 3 and 3 written down because I think, yeah, we'll take the Orioles series, but I do, because of exactly what Tor said. I think because Kansas are streaky, they're hit and miss. I've just got a feeling they might take that going into the All-Star break. I'd take 3 and 3 on the road any day. You know, if you can do better than that, great, but just don't come back with a losing record. And I think you're all good.
I think we're gonna, you know, we're gonna want to go into the All-Star break in a strong position. We're only 1 behind Philly now. Was it 2 this time last week? Like they are on the road at the moment at San Francisco at the moment, and then straight to the Giants after that. They're likely, but neither of those are great at the moment. San Francisco maybe slightly better, so we could do with them taking another 1 or 2 off them, but they're probably going to beat up San Diego, I fear. So I think we need to keep pace with them.
Okay.
Just psychologically, it's not like the season's not over by All-Star by any means, but
no, it's not. And at the same time, like I've said many times before, I think you can't really start worrying about games behind until the sort of the last week of August, first week of September. So do not panic. It will be okay. We will make the playoffs. I'm going to say that.
Oh, yeah.
You've jinxed us now. That's it. We'll come back and haunt you.
On that note, I'll end it there before I say anything else too controversial. Thank you for listening to the Mets in UK podcast. We will be back same time, same place next week. It's the All-Star break, so we will try our best to do something special. Watch this space. And all that leaves us to say is let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
And Lionesses.